how much of that stuff you would want live on the show.
Yeah.
All of it. Put it all on there.
All of it.
Tease the people.
Secrets and confessions of the
Secrets of the Squatch Detective. Dun dun dun. Yeah, let's just get right into it tonight.
Wait a second. Before we get into it,
Okay.
Yowie's Channel Central.
Yeah?
Where did I get this reputation of holding the show up? I don't do that. I'm here on time every time, except those several times.
And the show hasn't really been held up. I mean, it's
That's right.
6:01.
6 o'clock. Same time every Sunday.
Technically, the show is live on time.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just you that are late.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Steve Kulls. Have you seen my mug yet?
Wait a minute. Let me put it up for you.
Yeah,
there you go.
There we go.
So everybody can see it.
Wait. Get this. There you go.
Well, I'm featuring my Don't Tread on Me mug.
I'm featuring my normal travel mug. All right, so yeah, let's start this little ballyhoo. If everybody would mute, I will start the. Everybody's muted.
Once a week, 3 laddies come together from distant lands to talk about Bigfoot, Martians, ghosts, time travel, chupacabras, and the Sweetwater legend.
I think we're all huge fans of the Sweetwater legend.
This is the Fortean Slip with your host, Chris York.
Say no to Quaaludes? Fuck no. Wait a minute. No. Say yes.
Co-host, Steve Alcorn.
Like, take a break, shut my camera off,
Yeah.
garbage.
And sometimes special guest, Matt Knapp.
Just
Right,
accept it for what it is and just watch it and enjoy it.
They don't know who you are. They don't know what you want. If you're looking for entertainment, you may have come to the wrong podcast. But what they do have is a very particular set of skills.
There are no cows.
No cows.
No.
No cows were harmed in the making of this incident. We often wish that your relationship went much like that of the praying mantis.
I thought that was a reference to everything being green.
Yeah, sure you did. Carry on, gentlemen. I'm going to do something else for a little while.
Wow, Steve, would you like us to stop the program so you continue to do your shit?
You're about to witness the strength of creep knowledge.
Good evening, and welcome to the Fortean Slip, episode 112. Bigfoot Hoaxers. They unite. They become one. Are they like Voltron? At the end of the day, do they all jump into lions that are robots, form into one big giant robot? I hope so. It'd be much better than what we get. I think, anyway. Welcome to the show. Again, our good friend, Steve Kulls.
Hey.
Who, so a couple of weeks ago, well, a week ago, on Richard Allen's news program, I was introduced to a fabulous individual. And by fabulous, I mean a real cunt. One Linda Newton Perry. And Phil like went on a rant, and I'm like, how do I not know about this woman? Like I've got to do some research here. I've got to find out some shit. And Richard instantly is like, check out Steve Kulls' blog. And I'm like, I'm like, what? And he's like, dude, he's got a whole wall dedicated to her. And Alcorn said before, he's like, dude, I can't believe you haven't heard about this woman. Like, how have you not? And I'm like, I don't go looking for these people. Like, I'm not like trying to find people to shit on. It's not like the whole idea. But when I heard that, I was like,
what you're going to do tonight.
Yeah, it is.
Well, some people deserve it.
Yeah. So when I heard about this, I'm like, really? Like this woman's like, I mean, in my opinion, like just a piece of shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know how you want to start off with this, Mr. Kulls, but I don't know much about her. I did not because I knew you know so much about her. I mean, I know that Alcorn probably has some things that he can fill in along the way.
Not really.
I'm sure you know some stuff.
Oh.
And I'm sure you have anecdotal stuff. You always do, Steve. That I could just enjoy this as it unfolds on air. Because as I was hearing this stuff on Richard's show, I was just like, you got to be kidding me. She did what?
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah.
Like, so where does this start?
Well, this started probably in 2011. I mean, that long ago. And I remember I was having this woman popped up from Oregon, and she got kind of on my radar because actually, funny, we were talking about him a little earlier about his missing 411 stuff. But she had come out with a post on her website, Bigfoot Ballyhoo or whatever it is, and said that, you know, Oregon, the state of Oregon, was suspending driver's licenses if people report a Bigfoot.
I remember that. Yeah.
Right. So David Polites immediately took up arms to that. And actually, there's the actual letter right there. And he got a response back from DMV. And you can see it right there. And it just says that no, none at all. He goes,
Dave, I've looked into your question about whether anyone has had their Oregon driver's license suspended because they had reported sighting Bigfoot or a similar sighting. Yep. I spoke with the people at DMV who receive requests for reevaluation from police, doctors, family members concerned about a relative's ability to drive, and none of them recall ever seeing anything related to Bigfoot in one of these reports.
Right.
Yeah. That's just nice talk for saying, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like, are you crazy? That's crazier than the people that see Bigfoot. So that's what started it. And at the time, I was talking with Autumn Williams quite a bit at that particular time. And, you know, LNP, or who I like to call Linda Fig Newton Perry, was actually, she lived in Oregon. And so kind of Autumn and I she kind of filled in the blanks geographically where she was trying to say these sightings, and would always give me a little bit of insight to some stuff, which was really wonderful. Because if you look at her website, all the sighting reports are of this. Well, me and my husband were driving down the road when we saw this creature cross the road, and we smelled it and we saw it. And it's always this woman reporting to her like she's trying to be like the old Mother Hubbard of the Bigfoot world. And like, you know, she has these different characters, Miss Sparkles, and she had the stupid phony Bigfoot. And it was like this fairy tale, but she tried to put out this stuff of credibility. Now, where it really starts to take form is she has this team, and you can see right in this area here, she has the ESP team, which stood for the Emery, Saxton, and Parchell team, consisting of Bill Emery, Hank Parchell, and Cole Saxton. And then there was Dale Saxton, who, let me see if I get the right picture of Dale Saxton up here. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this is, if we can get this thing. Come on. No, I don't want that. There we go. There we go. We got, you know, this site is dedicated to the late Dale Saxton. And of course, Dale, there's never anything real. So we start looking at this, and then she came up with, at some point, a picture that here it is down here. If you look in this area, a photo from the ESP team. And first there was this like log in the road here, but the ESP team, where she put this photo out that says, basically, here is a photo sent to me today from Bill Emery. He admits it's fuzzy, blah, 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 blah. But here's the Bigfoot they caught on their trail camera. Well, in actuality, what that is a reversed screen cap from the Legend of Bigfoot from 1976. So automatically it starts throwing up, these big flags that this whole team is a fake. This whole thing is a farce. We obviously debunked the picture. How should I begin this? So she starts to, these little sock accounts. Like you'll see a lot of comments on her blog. They're all sock accounts. There's always, Joe from Ohio, or Bob from Walla Walla, or, Nancy, the lawyer, or whatever, these crazy little things. Nancy, the lawyer, says blah, 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 blah. So it's all sock bullshit. It's like, and she was really the first hoaxer to, when she got caught red-handed, she denied everything. That's what Bill Emery sent me, and yada yada, and still insisting to this day that the Emery team is real. What's the big issue here is that slowly, between Autumn and I, we started knocking down a lot of her claims. And Autumn knew some folks from Texas, and we were searching high and low, and somebody came across a photo of the Fort Worth Exchange. Now Dale Saxton, this guy she claims that passed away, we kind of sensed he was
our loving hearts go out to Dale.
Yeah, Dale,
because
thank you for the nice
Dale is
towel.
the man that made this all possible.
Hold on a second. Hold on. A moment of silence for Dale. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get down to. So one of the first things that I looked was right here that she was posting when Dale was still alive, allegedly, that Dale took these wonderful pictures, and it's got to watch out when you're driving in Bigfooting in Oregon because it gets snowy. And then I found photos on Photobug, and if you notice, and I know this is really low res, but in each one of the cases where this little blip is blurred out, and that was the actual copyright on the photos that she took off of Photobug.
So she couldn't even get real snow pictures from.
So no, hold on a second, Steve. If you go down, where is the picture of her supposed team, but it's actually from?
Okay, so yeah, we're getting to that. So
okay.
Anyway, so somebody found a picture of one of the guys on the Fort Worth Exchange website at the time. So Autumn knew a couple of folks from Texla Research down in the Texas area, and they actually went out to Texla. Now the photo, here's the ESP team here. And that's supposed to be the team. Right. Okay. Now, if you look over to the direct right here, this is the picture that somebody found on a photographer's site. And you can clearly see it's got the same hat, got the same bandana, got the same handlebar mustache.
Oh, yeah.
Got the same dude. So we started realizing that, hey, wait a minute, these are pictures from the Fort Worth Exchange. So the next picture down here, we found this actually on their website. And there he is. This is quote unquote Bill Emery. So we sent somebody down and we found the guy who plays Hank Parchell. If you look up there and you come down here, it's Hank Parchell. His real name is actually Gene Tilley. And so they talked to him a little bit, yada yada, and it turns out that here's the actual field report. said, I'm reporting you what I could find out this morning at the stockyards. Took a copy of the photos of the alleged Bill Emery and Hank Parchell. Began asking people who obviously work there. Where does it say? See if they recognized him, if they could give a name for the gentleman. Several people gave the name of Gene Tilley for the Hank Parchell photo and Vince for the Emery photo. I was able to locate Gene operating. Oh, here's the actual. I'm sorry. This picture was also off the website. This is the actual picture taken from one of the Texla guys of the real person in that picture, Gene Tilley. So there he is. And it turns out that the other guy is Vince Chastain, this gentleman. And he's a union leader, and he was actually on television. And there's Vince talking about. Now, the funny thing is, if you blow these pictures up, if you notice on her picture of Bill Emery, he's got a little scar on the nose. And when you blow this one up, you can also actually see the scar right there on his nose too, which is really funny. So we blew up the picture, we blew up the team, and here's the funny thing is that this is way back in 2012. If the ESP team pictures are a hoax, I promise you that this blog will be immediately shut down. So not only is she a hoaxer, she's a liar.
Oh yeah.
That was her promise so it gets better, but you start looking at other reports throughout the site. Now, then we came to debunking Dale Saxton. And this was a real tough one, but we'll get into that. And then there's some
dare you debunk a dead man?
That's right. God bless Dale
Steve
Saxton.
Kulls.
I think he's really alive.
He's the
still.
reason that this whole thing came together, Steve.
I know. I know. So again, we have the picture of good old Dale Saxton. There it is. Dedicated to the late Dale Saxton. Oops, I got two of them up. I don't want one. So, well, I start looking around, and there was another story that broke, and which we'll get. But I found the real Dale, and there he is a commercial fisherman with a gleam in his eye. And you look back behind it, it even says 2006 salmon schedule, salmon fishing schedule, and it's got charters on there.
I gotta say, that dude looks like a commercial fisherman. Right
Oh,
there.
absolutely.
That's what I think of.
Right
There.
And he does charters. So here's the, here's
Steve,
the
that's the look I'm going for.
Yeah, I think you can achieve it. You're in the right state for that.
You're getting close.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
So you have this. So the whole Dale Saxton thing was, busted right there. Well, there's the real Dale Saxton. He's actually a salmon fisherman. And if you look at her other picture, you can even see there was some other pictures, but she does this wash on it through some kind of program,
right?
And reverses it.
Filter.
Yeah,
same picture,
right.
Just reversed and washed out a little.
And that's the same thing we saw with the alleged Bigfoot photo as well. So we have that. So then we have this wonderful gem. Again, more debunking. Dale Saxton and crew. Oh, Dale Saxton was a logger, and it says Dale Saxton and his crew.
Wait a minute, Mr. Kulls. I gotta address something. Bearded picker, baby beards. I'm coming for you, bearded picker.
Oh, it's gonna take you a long time.
I'm coming for you, buddy.
Have you ever seen bearded picker?
No, I've never seen the bearded picker.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure he's got me beat though. I've only won one beard contest in my entire life.
And you didn't even have the best beard. I did.
And that was in 2012.
I should refer to the Sweetwater picture.
So, yeah. But bearded picker is always welcome in our chat. Sorry, Steve. I had to interrupt you there, but
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, at least I want to say hello.
He trashes Alcorn on a weekly basis, so he's very welcome.
3 times a week. I do a morning show with him.
Well,
and it's not Bigfoot related.
We got 3 levels of beards going here. We got beard, we got the beard up there. We got the slight beard going on down there, and you got the no beard here. So,
what about Katie? She got a beard?
No,
I'm gonna withhold.
I do not.
And I'm gonna wager a guess that Katie is not her boyfriend's beard.
No.
Yeah, what?
Katie, no.
Is she rethinking her position on this show?
It's like, what am I doing here? The guest is even taking shots. Hello, Katie.
So back to Dale Saxton. Oh,
So,
man.
anywho, so here's this wonderful picture she put up. Oh, he's real, blah, blah, blah. Look, here's a picture, look at the date on this, 2010. I mean, this is how far back this BS goes. Dale Saxton is crew on Burnt Mountain, 1977. Well,
I was but a babe.
guess what I found?
You found a real picture.
Oh, look at that. We don't know who all the real loggers are. And none of them are, coincidentally, Dale Saxton.
Dale's not in there?
Dale is not there. And that wasn't even in Oregon. That was in Northern California.
Is the fake Dale in there?
I don't think so. No, we can kind of Photoshop him. Salmon fisherman in the logging photo.
It'd be hilarious if somebody had photoshopped that picture of Dale. Got the salmon fisherman in the back there.
Almost as funny as using a Kinect to find Bigfoot. Oh, no, I'm
what?
sorry, I didn't mean to drop that elephant in the room.
Connect?
Oh yeah,
I
Are
know
you talking like an
something.
Xbox Connect?
yeah. Mhm.
Oh wait, what? Now you're gonna have to expand.
No,
on that.
yes. Yes, no. Whoa. What?
That should be just a teaser for my show coming up in a couple hours.
Oh.
You mean I gotta
Oh.
watch it to find out?
Yeah, Steve, you have to. This makes our listeners go watch his show
Oh,
to find out about this thing, and might
Good
make
luck, Steve.
you, Steve.
you're gonna get like one, maybe two listeners from this thing.
How do you know?
Maybe one. Watch about a minute and go,
Fuck this shit.
How do you know?
Okay,
Two-hand
three.
everything. This seems like a new listener. Well, welcome. Hello. Two-hand everything.
It's secondhand everything.
Oh.
Name.
that has some
Two-handed
connotations too.
Steve, listen. I can't help that I smoke weed during, before, and after. All the fucking time, Steve. What do you want me to do? I'm not Dale
I want you to learn
Saxton.
to read. Oh yeah, you're no Dale Saxton. I knew Dale Saxton. You are no Dale Saxton.
Wait, I thought Dale Saxton was a big guy.
Hey, I live in a fake world. sometimes.
Hey, if Fig Newton Perry is watching the show tonight, we want to say hi to her, number one. And number two,
If Linda Newton Perry's listen, if Linda Newton Perry is listening to this show, for one, I mean,
Probably the most sane thing she's done in a long time.
yeah, I mean,
probably past her bedtime, though, fellas. I
Could
mean, she is
be.
kind of old.
so this is what we have here. These guys are loggers in California.
Right. Yep.
So how did you come across this photo? Like, how did this get sent to you? Did you
No.
across it?
Google Images are a wonderful thing. And
Ah,
if you're not using Google Images or TinEye,
or searching Google Images.
right? You're not. So one day, this is how a lot of these photos came up, was just putting some of her pictures into. Now, some of them don't work because she's used and over the years she's gotten smart to it. So now she's using different filters. Like there's the new. It's really funny because after she posted the original pictures of the ESP team, she started posting different pictures of them, and they look nothing like the real pictures. Like Hank Barchell looks like he's in some hula shirt and wearing a friggin' cap. Like what? So she's jumping the shark but doesn't care.
Right. So she's one of those people that even when she's caught in the lie, she just keeps going.
Denies it. Yep. Deny the truth.
Yeah, she's like, she follows that rule of cheating on your better half or whatever, of you just deny.
Yep. And now here's the really sad thing is this picture down here. She posted that, hey, guess what? There was a Bigfoot sighting at Shrew Lake. Here's the gate to Shrew Lake. And you can clearly see in the picture, of course, you go to the website, you can see a lot clearer that, it looks like this was photoshopped in the number and the Shrew Lake, do not enter, all that stuff. I actually Google search it. And this is what gets me really upset is that she's got no caring. This picture was actually used reporting a news story of a guy who went missing and died in the woods. And
she just took it as,
I'm just going to steal this picture and change it into a Bigfoot sighting and put it up.
I'm going to guess she never even looked at the story. She just probably Googled
yeah.
picture, and that's how she found it.
Probably.
Open
and it even
gate
says, but here's the thing. It's the guy actually went missing in Oregon. So, she's probably saw it on the news and just clicked over to it and used it. And then, of course, down here we have the Fasano picture, the Tim Fasano picture, which he posted on YouTube, and she lifted it.
and did she do that recently?
All of this was a while ago. I'm going to get to the more recent stuff. Now, I really haven't paid much attention to her other than she's got a lot of more anecdotal stories, basically the same type. Oh, me and my husband were driving, and the lonely housewife driving with her husband. And it's always that story. It's always the woman telling the story, and once in a while you'll get something else. Now, there was a couple of things that had occurred over the last couple of years that she's been posting and actually getting some steam from people that have no clue. Or, one of my big pet peeves is, before you're going to start blogging on Bigfoot, and before you start, posting videos on Bigfoot, read your history. Yeah. What this person did was take a story, and instead of, looking at the backstory of it, seeing this person's history, they ran with it. Oh, the Miller doc, this big scientific report that proved Bigfoot exists. Oh yeah.
Yowie Channel Central. Wow, worse than Rick Dyer. Well, yeah. Okay. Now we've said on many occasions that Rick is so transparent. It's fucking outrageous. Like, in a way, I respect him.
In a way,
because he's a fucking douche and he doesn't care. So, I mean, at least with Rick, it's kind of like the devil you're dealing with, in a way, in my opinion. I don't know about either of you, but I know Alcorn's always said, whatever when it comes to Rick Dyer.
Yeah, I don't put them in the same league. Rick will eventually tell you he's full of shit.
But Rick is fucking transparent, though.
Yeah, very transparent. This woman will continue to lie until probably until the day she did.
We lost Steve.
I wondered why. Well, you mentioned Rick Dyer, and he had to fucking leave.
Yeah, he had to bail out. No, he'll come back.
Some people were doing some research on me the past couple of weeks so that they could get funny photos of me to Photoshop things into. I haven't shown you the latest one. I will. But they found that blog that Rick Dyer did on me, where he was calling me a hoaxer and all. And there was nothing about hoaxing in the whole fucking article, but people were finding that shit on me this week. I'm like, yeah, that's just fucking Rick Dyer, But no, I have respect for the guy in the fact that he sets out to do something, he does it, and when it's done, Well,
I mean, we've dealt with him many times as far as his bullshit and what the deal is with his different hoaxes and what the problem has been. Steve just messaged me. Give me a second. The mention of Rick Dyer froze my computer. Yeah. I mean, we know what
you're getting when you
guy he is. When it comes to this type of person, this Linda Newton Perry, she's just trying to be such a complete snake at every turn. Like, and there is no, like, she's not going to come out and say, okay, Mr. Kulls got me here. Yep, this is a false, this was false. She's not going to say that.
No.
Ever.
Because why should she? She's got her little blog and people are following it, and that's all that matters to her.
Yeah, she's got her little following. And we found this with many of these types of people, like, talking about like Johnson. Johnson, he's creating a cult at this point. People are claiming to be healed by Bigfoot. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's dangerous shit, Steve. We know. We both know it. What'd you do? Get lost, Steve?
No,
You
I'm
lost in
just
the chat.
I'm sharing a screen with you.
Oh, where did this come? Where did this one come from, Steve?
I have no idea. Somebody's making these
They're
stupid
making them.
Photoshop pictures of me.
I love this shit.
I know, isn't that awesome?
This is great.
That's going to be
We
the
need
next
more of these.
t-shirt.
Whoever's doing this, keep them coming.
Yeah, right.
Keep them fucking coming. Bearded Picker, if you're behind this.
Well, he knows who did it. He mentioned the name. but I
Oh,
can't
then
remember.
Bearded Picker, pay this person some money. I know you got
I
it.
wanted to get him to do me in a bunch of different funny poses like that. All right, I'll take it off now.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It is, isn't it? I don't know
Oh,
what
I-
I'm holding here. Some sort of beer. I don't drink beer.
Well, I'm sorry, Steve. I did get a chance to speak to Fred Dunn the other day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, Fred's been really, really busy. He was telling me that every time he finishes something up for that Bob Gimlin guy, he like hires him to do another one.
Hey,
So
money.
I'm like, dude, take
have that,
take
man.
the fucking money, man. You know, but I did talk to him. He said he's been improving his live drawing, like because he's been trying to do stuff at the cons.
Right.
And I told him, I'm like, dude, if you ever want a live draw on the Fortean Slip page, you know,
Absolutely.
there's a good good amount of people there. There's a good audience. So but yeah, I mean, I had a good talk with him the other day. He's just been busy with stuff. And
By the way, since we're waiting for
and
Steve
I told him,
Kulls
I'm like, dude, get, if you're at the cons, hit me up, send me some videos, I'll post your shit. Like, fuck, man.
So since we're waiting for Steve Kulls to come back, I'll do another screen share. Go ahead and share that one. Can you see it?
What am I sharing?
Share it.
Oh, excuse me.
You can now get your very own Sweetwater Legend merchandise. Look at that.
Who's doing this?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who's behind this. Look at this. Coffee mugs, T-shirts.
Wait a minute. Are you behind it, Steve? If you're behind it, it's okay. I'll
maybe.
totally. I'm behind you on this. 100%.
Look at that. You can get that. Spreadshirt.com.
Steve, are you behind it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
/ Sweetwater Legend.
There you go. If
There's
you
the
guys want
Sweetwater Legend
to
store.
get yourself a Sweetwater Legend,
Yeah.
I guarantee you'll sell more than I sold T-shirts.
I mean, who doesn't want my face?
That's right. Who doesn't want the Sweetwater Legend?
You can also get, hold on, you can get some Bigfoot merchandise there too. Bigfoot driving a beetle. So, pretty cool stuff.
Nice.
Shop.spreadshirt.com Sweetwater-Legend / Sweetwater-Legend.
Yeah, you guys can look it up, I'm sure. Steve, you can give me the link and I can put it on.
Yeah, come on. Who doesn't want some Sweetwater merchandise? There's some pretty
Get yourself
good deals.
Sweetwater merchandise. It's good for you. It's good for me. It's good for
It's good for me, yes. Hey, I got to capitalize on that shit. People want to fucking pick on me. I'm taking advantage of it.
Why not, Steve?
That's right.
Sell some fucking coffee mugs. Sell some T-shirts. Do that shit, Steve. I'm all for it for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out if I can put that other image on a shirt, the one that I just showed, because
what other?
Got some sort of the one that I just shared with you just before I showed it.
Oh yeah. I got
it. Because it has some sort of branding in it. I don't know. I'll have to get somebody to do it different.
Yeah.
Why not? I could use the extra cash.
Who can't?
Right.
Who can't?
And nobody wants Steve Kulls' face on a shirt, but they do want mine. He coming back in?
He said he just was having some computer problems, so we will give him.
He didn't get the other photo. I haven't downloaded that one, Scott.
Yeah.
There is another photo.
Frank Smith wants to know if you sold beer mugs, Steve.
Yeah, there is a beer mug on there.
There's a beer mug on there, Frank Smith.
I believe so. Let me look.
And get yourself a beer mug, you Irish drunk.
Let me look. I'm sure there is.
Yeah, look who's back.
Hey.
Look, Rick Dyer destroyed his computer. Oh, wait, I did it again. Shit.
Rick Frozen.
Me saying that I respect Rick Dyer's transparency at this point made Steve Kulls go.
No, I the funny thing is I actually have a good story about Rick Dyer and Linda Newton Perry, which was kind of funny. Yeah, you're gonna love this one. So I told Rick one time because we were battling it out during his second hoax, and I said, you know what? You want to see a hoaxer that really sucks? I go, okay, I'll give you props. You're pretty good, but I'm gonna give you a hoaxer that sucks at it. He actually did a video saying that I'm a hoaxer and your site sucks. You can't hoax worth nothing. To her. Boy, did I get mad.
By the way, I found my it's not a beer mug, but it's close. You want to share that?
Wait, see, this is what happens. You dropped out of the show. He's instantly trying to sell people merchandise, Steve.
Well, that's
what he does.
Pretty savvy.
Just hit the share screen.
Look, Steve, we're back to the show. They can go and look. I told you. You can give me the link. I'll post it under the fucking video. You can sell your fucking swag.
It's a mason jar.
It's a what?
It's a mason jar.
Or whatever.
I took it off. It's gone. Screw it. You don't want to let me promote? Fine.
I let you promote. What are you talking about? Jesus. We're back.
It's gone now.
Linda Newton Perry.
Old Fig Newton.
Does she have merchandise?
So you're gonna love this. So, as I was saying that Linda put this new stuff out that noobs had never heard of before, and some people were actually embracing it, saying, "Hey, there was this fire in the '60s, and this guy Jerry Lustin found the Bigfoot." This Bigfoot corpse and saw everything. And this doctor by the name of H.A. Miller came in, and he has a PhD in ecology, and he's a medical PhD. And he wrote this whole long report on it. And the report makes really little sense. I've tried to trace the actual origins of the report, and I really can't. But what I was able to find out was that there wasn't a Miller, an H.A. Miller, William Miller. Oh no, there's an H.A. Miller that graduated from this actual class. And I believe this was the ecology class. You see, but you look at H.A. Miller there, and this is 1930, so you would figure this guy is maybe about 25 years old, 26 years old, maybe tops. Even if he's 28. That would have made him born be around, 1922 or 1902. But the funny thing is, in 1904, the same H.A. Miller wrote a report about medicine. And I don't know if I have that. Let's see. Okay, there's just a letter from H.A. Miller. I don't know how real this is or whatever. But the bottom line is that she meshed a H. Miller with H.A. Miller to make him sound more credible. And because this H. Miller had written reports as a doctor at 2 years old? I don't think so. So it really was not convalescing very well. So anyway, I'm just going to pull up the site real quick because I have the pictures there. For some reason, I don't have them. But anyway, what it came down to is like looking at this Jerry Lustin photo. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. 1914 was the H.A. Miller, 1914. This is H.A. Miller, 1930. But, and even looking at this photograph, the 1930 seems a little bit different. So I don't know what exactly went there. But in 1940, if this guy's already a doctor, by the time 1960s rolled around, this guy would have been in his 80s. So it made no sense. She meshed this guy with, the H.A. Miller here. And I have to read over this because it was a while since I debunked this. And what I wrote was the photo used is genuine. H.A. Miller, M.D., Ph.D. existed, but the one suggested graduated forestry and med school long before 1930. H.A. Miller did not graduate Harvard Medical School. We know this because the Alumni Association commemorates every passed on member. And the passed on member, there were 2 deceased Millers who graduated from Harvard Medical School that passed on, but none went by the name of H.A. Miller. What appears that the information between the two has been confused. The Miller that existed in the early 1900s was an MD who obtained his MD in Pennsylvania with a PhD. However, it appears that the one in the picture was just an MA, a master's in forestry. Remember that it's because of the MD that all this Bigfoot involvement took place, according to her story. Another interesting note is the narrative itself. First, we hear his graduation dates regarding forestry, very specific. I completed an additional year in forestry and science, graduated in 1930 with an AB from Yale University and an MF in 1931. MF is a Master of Science in Forestry, the Miller document. However, when it comes to the medical degree, it's non-specific. A sign an interrogator looks for in an untruth. Graduating from Harvard Medical School, Harvard in the early 1940s. Well, wait. 1940s. Wait a minute. H.A. Miller is here. This document is 1914. So you can see it's obviously she's mixing some things up to confuse the mix. But if you follow the timeline, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And that's exactly what she's doing.
She's interweaving things
right.
to make the story fit
right.
the way she wants.
Right. So, here we are. I was talking earlier, and we'll get back to the Miller doc in a sec, but I was talking about the pre-debunked Emery versus the post-debunked Emery. Notice the changes in pictures. The pre-debunked Parchell, now the post-debunked Parchell. The pre-debunked, this is not Dale Saxton, but Cole Saxton. And now the post-debunking Cole Saxton. So you see how all the pictures changed after, I put out the information about who the real people were.
The one in the yellow hat kind of looks like Phil Poland, don't he?
A little bit.
A young Phil Poland.
Yeah.
This guy looks like he's at the track.
That makes more sense for it being Phil Poling.
Yeah. And I've played with, especially this picture here, because these pictures have that wash on there. And the way I found actually the Dale Saxton picture was actually quite by accident. And that's why I needed to bring this up kind of now. When I was looking for the article she wrote on right here, this is the guy that right here that had found the body, right? The body. Well, it turns out I Google searched that picture and it came out to this, which was a story about a couple of loggers. This allegedly was 1960. Actually, the picture was taken in 1972. And this gentleman's name is actually Buzzy Franklin. Buzzy. And the funny thing is how we got the picture is, you see right here, here is the actual news article that she swiped it from. And then look down here in the corner. Yes, that's right. There's Dale Saxton, the salmon fisherman. So that's how we connected the dots. Like, oh my God, there's Dale Saxton.
That's how she found that photo.
That's how, yeah. So she was basically scamming pictures off of this. By the way, it's a very bad picture, and I know it's not zoomed in, but that's actually Buzzy Franklin back in 2008. Apparently, Buzzy had owned a diner afterwards in the 80s. It was very popular. I actually talked to another Bigfoot researcher from Oregon and said, "Oh yeah, I used to. They made great breakfast there. I used to go there all the time. I know Buzzy very well. That is Buzzy." So I mean, busted. How much more busted? So if you're building a story about this Miller doc, how can you even, once you get to this and see that the foundation of it was bullshit, and then you start looking at them and
everything this woman said has been bullshit.
Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievably. And if you look, I actually provided the Millers that passed away that were allegedly Harvard, the Harvard alumni, like she says, he graduated Harvard alumni. If you look at this stuff, he did no such thing. He ended up dying in the 40s. And then and back in 2016, she says, "I'm done. No more information we put on the site. I will get the comments if you wish to communicate with me, Linda Fig Newton Perry." Of course, that ended very quickly.
Oh, they always come back.
Yeah, they always come
She-
back.
She,
And that
she retired more times than Fasano did.
He's
Is it
retired
too
more
soon?
times.
Too soon?
Yeah, no, it's never too
Too
soon on
soon,
this
too soon.
show, Steve. And we got nothing but mad Fasano love.
Oh,
so.
I love that guy. Yeah.
He was funny. He was.
Yeah.
You know, she's retired more times than Biscardi has threatened to. Oh, I just had to throw that in there. So yeah, so this is the mess that is Bigfoot Ballyhoo today. I mean, it's just stories, and the bottom line is, oh, there's Linda there.
Okay.
And we'll get that off that real fast. We don't want to burn anybody's eyes out. She is a fiction writer. Her husband writes fiction books about Vikings, and she writes Bigfoot's kids books. And if you read her blog, it reads like, second grade level reading. It's like, oh, there's Susie and Susie, And then when any real criticism came out, literally this woman, has threatened me. Well, if I had a lawyer, I'd sue you for really. Go right ahead. What have I have the proof here, and beyond a reasonable doubt. And of course, in a civil court, it's preponderance of the evidence. So it's like, you're really not scaring me. I've gotten threatened by Biscardi's attorney before too. I said, well, bring it. My first witness I'm going to call is Tom.
Let me just state that Linda Newton Perry has written such classics as The Little Red Car and Bigfoot and Country Folks Lock Your Doors. That's two titles of her books. And guess how many ratings she has on Amazon? One.
Oh, I don't know.
One rating.
Ooh. So she's really rocking it, is what you're saying.
I did some
Steve.
research for the show. See that? Look at that.
Wow, you're amazing, Steve.
I am.
When you step up to the plate, my friend, you really knock it out of the park.
I do.
Just got to get you to step up to that plate a little more often.
And the artwork on her. Have you seen her books, Steve?
There we are. Oh, now she's got her husband up there, co-editor of Bigfoot Ballyhoo.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, the poor
He
bastard.
needed in on some of this action.
He could be the next Colonel Sanders.
I'm gonna guess that she didn't even ask his permission. She just put him up there.
You're gonna be this.
He looks like he has a secret recipe to chicken for sure.
And but at least she's saying Bigfoot is an animal and nothing more. Well, at least you got that right.
Oh.
So I guess she can't take on too many too many offenses at once. But again, right here, Bigfoot Ballyhoo dedicated to the late Dale Saxton. Still.
Dale's important.
Yeah.
Oh.
Buy a book by Linda Newton Perry. Oh, here we go.
The cover artwork is
Blood ribbons.
so
Bigfoot
good.
old mother gets her foot caught between two river rocks. Benny Bigfoot and the Barnyard Cats.
Hey, I'm not against her. I'm not against her writing, Bigfoot fiction or whatever.
No.
But this
As long
shit
as it
that
stays
she's
within this
portraying,
fiction, sure.
Oh, it got
this shit at her with her team and her supposed photos and whatnot is dog shit. And when Richard sent me the video of her, and it was like she was showing like a Bigfoot mask, but it was like to show like what it was supposed to look like. But then she put a filter over the whole fucking video, so it looked like the fucking color out of space. So it was like all fucked up, and you couldn't see anything. This woman is fucking. She's nuts.
Well, if in looking at her site, look at all the deleted posts, because here is November 29, 2019, and the nearest post is October 20th, 2016. I don't know if that's
I take it like this, Steve. She's either one of those people.
Yeah.
She's being a fucking cunt on complete purpose,
right,
or
yep.
she's so delusional. She buys into all this shit.
Oh, I don't think she buys into it. I mean,
no, I don't at all. I think
there's just too much. There's too much manipulation into it to say I believe it.
How could she buy into that stuff?
I mean, here we go. here we go. Here, Jerry Lustin, right? And she posts that picture that's already been debunked. There it is. And this was just posted, somewhere between, November 29th. That was posted. That was the reposting of it. So just last month, she's still reposting this bullshit debunked years ago. And that's why it's so relevant today, because she keeps reposting it, and she may get some people to buy into her bullshit. But if you look at that,
no fucks given with this woman.
No, not at all.
one.
Oh, left a new comment on your post. Bill Emery comments on 1962 Bones. Come on, So yeah, I mean, she's still properly. I mean, okay, yeah, that's nice. That's nice. That's nice. Oh, look at that. Very sorry to hear. Now you have nobody to rip material off of.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my thing. Oh, didn't you? I feel like leaving a comment today. Didn't you rip his shit off at one time?
Right. Yeah. She's for those of you who are listening on the podcast, she left a post on her blog or her website, as saying, goodbye to Tim Fasano after he had passed away. And we will miss him. And she ripped off his photographs and used them as her own.
And then tells Tim, and Tim being a nice guy, actually, Tim could be a very nice guy at times.
Oh, Tim was awesome, dude.
Yeah, and he was like, well, she says that somebody sent it to her, so I really don't know. And I'm going, Tim, bullshit. I've seen her history.
As soon as she immediately knew that it was not, even if somebody sent it to you, you take the fucking picture down,
or you give him credit,
or you give him credit. Yeah,
she couldn't give him credit because she said it came from around Shrew Lake in Oregon. That's her little hangout area. She lives near Shrew Lake, so of course that's the Bigfoot capital of Oregon. All of a sudden, and all these made up stories, and the funny thing is these stories were pouring in. Autumn Williams was like going, I've put my feelers out there, and no, I've never heard anything ridiculous there. And she was like, there's no gate at Shrew Lake. I don't know what she's talking about. And sure enough, we found that the gate was faked. So, I mean, okay. If she had just left that out, her old stories in there, I mean, most of the stuff is pretty harmless. Okay, but then all of a sudden she gets in there to look up Columbus Day Storm Animal, use search tool, and all of a sudden she gets on a rant about the Columbus Day. I mean, what the heck?
Yeah, she doesn't let go. When you fucking call her out, she digs in. That's the type of person she is. When you call her out, she fucking digs her claws in and just holds on. And
yeah,
I mean it's disgusting how blatantly she's lied.
I've got to ask, why the fuck does she keep that blog so skinny? Use the whole fucking page.
Look at that.
All that white space.
What the fuck is that?
Oh, and now we have the
What the hell is that supposed to be?
It's supposed to be a Bigfoot print.
Oh, is it?
Maybe a giant penis print. I don't know. That's what it looks like to me. Bigfoot's big.
Lions and bears live in our North American forests. Why not Bigfoot?
Yeah.
I mean, some of her stuff is pretty harmless. That's pretty harmless. But when you start posting evidence that is much information, and that's like much bullshit. It's just really bad. And then her little map she made of all the sightings that she's been making up. And you look at the comments, and you always have these one names. Robert said this. Never a full name. Never a even a screen name like Tiller 123 said. Instead we get Robert said. And this is her probably listening, but she's posting as a sock account. And, there's ways I can look at the blog editing and actually really find out whether or not this was left as a comment or this was just directly input. Again, if you look at this It says, it says new comment, and then it says posted by Linda Newton Perry. It doesn't say posted by anybody else, which is where you get a really traditional comment, which is kind of funny. And then
She can't even change the account.
Yeah, and then you have the fake, the fake comments. Jessica said,
Jessica said.
Jessica. Yeah, and you have all these, if you look at, but most of her stuff doesn't have comments. In fact, there's 2 comments there. Why don't I see the second one?
No, there it isn't.
I don't know. So, so this is all. I mean, this has been going on since 2009. And it started,
and people, and I mean, obviously, she doesn't have like this humongous following.
No,
but there is a group of people, fucking, who definitely have bought into this shit.
Very few.
Yeah,
very few. I think just by the comment. I mean, as you can see, guest editor blogger Dale Saxton's on license suspension for reporting a Bigfoot. See, that was the start of it. And then the fact the state of Oregon does do this. Again, this is all sock stuff. MR, I've heard of it. I work for Douglas County Road Department. I knew a guy who reported one Bigfoot on Union Creek near Riddle, only to have his CDL suspended.
Wait, did you say sock? Chris, don't you have a sock? You spoke about
on my feet.
Oh no, next to your bed. I thought you were talking about it once.
A sock.
You said you had a sock. Never mind.
Huh? I don't know what you're talking about, Steve.
But yeah, since
I guess I'm drunk.
The interesting thing is that the more she's putting out less bullshit, she's putting more storyline stuff around it, and then putting the bullshit in between it. So whereas when she first was going, every other post was just screaming, like this is her 2009 post, right at the very end of 2009. You'll see, license suspension, Constitution on the same subject, on suspending licenses after reporting a Bigfoot.
That's the one where, that's where she started, and I can't believe people didn't just beat her the fuck down at that point.
Then we have Dale Saxton's picture. Let's. Here's an old picture he sent. Let's just do this. Let's have a little fun right now and search Google for image.
So I want to, since you're doing that, I'll ask you a question. Has any state ever suspended any license for a Bigfoot report that you know of?
No, absolutely
not.
No,
or a UFO sighting or anything of that nature.
Doesn't happen.
That's very true.
They might suspend you after you have a Bigfoot sighting or a UFO sighting or something, but it's not because of that. It's because you're fucking nuts sometimes.
No, maybe it's because of some other reason.
Yeah, I mean, maybe does she have her license suspended? I wonder. Maybe she should.
That was my first thought when he said that, when he brought that up at the beginning of the show. Was that she got her license suspended, or she lost her license for some reason, and she wanted to blame it on the fact that she's reported sighting Bigfoot.
Stranger things have been done on the internet. Well, not much stranger.
Well, yeah, no, there's all kinds of strange shit that's been done on the internet, Steve. Claims that have been made on the internet, things that have been posted on the internet. Reddit's a strange place, Steve.
Yeah, it's got its own culture. It's kind of like it's got its own culture.
Yeah, my son's into Reddit.
Never happened, really.
It's a weird place. There's some weird shit. There's some internet mysteries there. That's all I know.
What are you going to do? Live Google image search?
Doing it now.
We're fucking searching.
Yeah, see, she's a lot of times she uses filters that really fucks up the image search.
The image search, yeah.
Well, and I'm sure that's a on purpose misdirection. So that
absolutely,
somebody like a Steve Kulls is going to have a harder time. Although you will find it.
I will. Well, I won't have a heart attack. I'm like, okay, you sneaky SOB. I'll just get you another way. I'll find it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's obvious, like, just based on what you've shown us, just a little bit that we fucking scratched the surface of, it's all horse shit.
Right. Oh, look at this. Dr. Isaac S. Why no last name?
Well,
Always
because
Dr.
when she was giving last names, you debunked them all.
No, this is-
I
this
mean,
is
come
actually-
on.
This is actually the very beginning of her blog.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, these have been posted. This is the 2010 entries. I mean, there's
So she's
9
been doing this for
a
10 years
while.
now. 10
Just
years.
about 9 years. Yeah, 9 years, a little over 9, going on her 10th year. And like I say, some of it, if you look, if she just stayed on the straight and narrow, it would have been a nice little folksy blog about it. But instead, she chose to sensationalize it, make stories out of it, tell lies about it, and be nasty about it.
Yeah, she definitely took it. She took it too far.
And the funny thing is, in truth, there was a Dale Saxton. Now, see, here's a little interesting tidbit during the investigation. And this goes back years. The very first time I tried to correspond with her about this, and she was actually writing back quite often. And I asked her, I said, how come the only Dale Saxton we've seen that has died like 8 years ago in someplace in Idaho? Well, I assure you that Mr. Saxton has died, and he is from Oregon and all this other stuff. So I actually tracked her IP address. And you know where it was from at that point in time? Idaho. Yeah. I was like, she's got relatives in Idaho. That's it. So I know because I've done my homework as a private investigator. I know her background. I mean, she's a retired real estate broker. That was her. That was her thing. I know more about her than I care to know about. Do I use it? No, but I use it to understand the background of somebody necessarily, and understand sometimes when they come up with a piece of information like Mr. Saxon, like saying what's the connection to Idaho here, and all of a sudden there you have it. Right. So it all kind of lines up.
Well, when you have those pieces, it fits.
Right, and that was all pre-work up to finding out the real. The real thing. Now here's a funny kicker. She actually writes a Monster Quest, Whitehall, New York. I enjoyed watching a program on History Channel's Monster Quest.
Did you now?
Who was in that show?
Did you now?
I mean, there was a gentleman that was on that show, if I recall. Right.
And little did she know that a year later I'd be bashing her in the head for lying. So, here we are. Here it is. Bill Emery, Bigfoot investigator, investigates. So now we're starting to see the beginnings of the ESP team. And that was on or around January 4th, 2010. So that's when it started. At the beginning of 2010 started the ESP thing. I forget when she came out with the Big Clyde picture. They called it Big Clyde. Now, she's been writing there's been Bigfoot sightings at this tunnel for years, and Autumn Williams is like, I've never heard of a sighting over there. Never. I mean, it's incredible. So why does somebody continue to do this? I look at the psychology of it, and my only guess is, she is trying to basically try to sell books, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's ultimately it's just look at me.
Right. Very self-serving, narcissistic.
Yeah.
And you can tell by pictures like that and the creation of Mrs. Sparkles, and which if you click on the link, you'll see Mrs. Sparkles at least at some point. It's just, some of the, if you go on the side art, you'll see all the little color me. Oh, our book's below. Order from,
Right.
It's always about her, blood ribbons and Benny the Bigfoot and
our
look,
good
David
friend
Pallady.
Dave.
hey, there he is.
Hey, Mr. Missing 411 himself. Phil Poling really likes him.
bad.
Well, the funny thing is, eventually he will end up debunking her on her Oregon thing as well. It's the DMV stuff. Oh, there's Mrs. Sparkles.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, she's done videos with that character. I've seen them.
Oh Jesus!
with
Crazy.
with Polides. I wish Polides would get away from, or Polides, whatever the fuck his name is. I wish he'd get away from like the supernatural side of it and more look at the fact that there's problems with the databases, the missing person databases, and the way that they handle these missing person cases when they take the calls, especially when they're on parkland. Those, I mean, those are the things that I think he should focus on, not on the fact that these disappearances, are mysterious or might be paranormal or might have something to do with Bigfoot. I'm not going to say it does, but
Well, if you face it, that's a real steep order. And I'm not putting the man down at all. I mean, he has his beliefs and he's entitled to them. I just wish he didn't say his whole supernatural thing is because he's bought into the whole Ketchum DNA study.
right.
And that's very unfortunate because okay, he had kind of a tribal type of thought process on the Sasquatch, which is okay, but now when you start defending that I'm actually getting into that tonight on my show, is I'm getting into the whole Ketchum study stuff,
Right, with what's going on with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't, for one, listen, I don't begrudge the guy for throwing out a theory and writing some books about it.
not at all.
And I think that if you want to be pissed off about that, that's your prerogative. I think you're being a little crazy if you want to be pissed off about that. Do I think that his the clout, I guess you could say, that he has, do I think that it could be used in a better way? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But if that's what he wants to do, power
Yeah.
to him. Hey, another guy. I'd have Polides, whatever the fuck his name is. He could correct me if he wanted to come on. I'd have him on in a second if he wanted to.
Absolutely.
Talk about it. And
No, Dave is a decent guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
I
believes.
believe that.
He's just a firm believer in what he believes in.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to get he's another one of those guys. I'd love to get his take on it.
And if we agree to disagree, I have no gripe against him because he's not doing it maliciously.
Right. I mean, I've heard some stories along the way about him. I take everything with a grain of salt.
Well, there's stories probably about all of us.
Oh,
People.
There's a lot of stories about me.
And a lot of stories about me too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's the nature of, anytime you put yourself out there, people are gonna chew you down, shoot you down. It's gonna happen.
Right.
So, I mean,
with his background, I think if he were, the Missing 411 books would be better served at fixing the problem that exists in those parks and whatever.
Right, like I was saying, like
there's
there's definite issues with the way those disappearances, the way that the reporting of it gets handled.
But you know what? It doesn't sell as many books.
No, it doesn't sell as many books, but I'll tell you what, the one thing that I noticed, because I went on this like whole rabbit hole recently, due in part to finding this channel on YouTube. And the one thing that I find in these disappearances that stands out as the correlating factor is that there was a problem with the way the missing person was reported, be it on the part of the people who reported it or on the part of the people who took the report, be it 911, be it the police, whatever the case may be. There are definite issues in those areas.
Yep.
And those need to be addressed. And if he put I would have way more respect for him if he put more effort in that area. If he still wants to sell his fucking books, again, power to him. But yeah, I'd have way more respect for him in that case. But and I'd said it recently. I said to Matt, I'm like, I totally get like why he's obsessed with this, with these quote unquote strange disappearances. And I won't say that all of them are strange or that any of them are strange. But listen, it comes down to that whole. I'll use the Bill Cosby analogy. If just one of those women, or just a couple of those women are telling the truth, like that's the thing. It's if just a couple of those missing persons or disappearances are truly mysterious and there is something strange, then that deserves to be looked into too. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's the norm. Like, I think the norm is they were dragged off by an animal. They fucking walked off, something happened, they fell down somewhere, and then they got fucking dragged off by an animal.
Hypothermia.
Yeah, hypothermia, another one.
Huge.
I was just looking at a video tonight, re-looking at the Dyatlov Pass case, and people say that it was an avalanche, but then there's evidence that, well, maybe not, and then there's this. So, and here's the other thing is that the Russian government has recently reopened an investigation into that, which is really fucking strange.
Well, don't forget, Mother Russia has always been good at capitalizing on mystery. I mean, how many bullshit things have we seen out of cryptids and mysteries come out of Russia that turn out to be
here's something that I had never heard of before, and I don't know if either of you have either. One of the theories is that it was parachute bombs, that they were testing parachute bombs, and that these parachute bombs would have caused those internal injuries on the bodies, but not necessarily the external injuries on the bodies, like what was reported. And if they had been testing some type of nuclear parachute bomb, then that would have explained the radiation. And I thought that was an interesting theory.
Yeah, but I think that the Russian government wouldn't have to open up the investigation if that was the case.
Well,
they would already know.
Well, maybe because they want to tie up the loose ends on it, though.
Yeah, very, very true.
They want to make sure that's what happened.
Bob, why open the Pandora's box when that happens? It's
because
better
then they get the people talking about it again.
But they don't want to. If there was a secret, see, my whole thing is that government, like the Sasquatch mystery, let's face it, there's people talking about government conspiracy. I don't believe there's a government conspiracy in so much as we need to cover this up, as more or less, well, we'll just ignore it. That is the most convenient way for a government to make something go away, is ignore it. They want it to go away. If it was truly their top secret thing, they want it to go away.
Right. And so again, why are they looking into it again? Why are they digging it up? So to speak.
Probably because they're trying to defend it, that it wasn't parachute bombs or something silly like that. But
right.
You never know. Maybe they, it's a far different government from the Soviet government versus what they have today. Even though they still have a dictatorship, quote unquote. And they do have some democratic means there, and they're a little more freer than they were then. But my guess is that they're probably curious as we are to it. My thing is, I've looked at all the Dyatlov Pass things, and being a paramedic for a number of years, I sat there and go, this all screams to me hypothermia.
Oh, they definitely died of hypothermia.
Yeah, why was somebody walking around without their shoes? Because sometimes people with hypothermia feel like they're extremely warm or hot.
But the only thing though, like the weird thing for me about that case is, one guy was an extremely experienced mountain skier, hiker. Like, he was extremely experienced. The rest of them were fairly experienced. And what my issue with it is, why did they wind up getting the hypothermia? Why did they wind up cutting their way out of the tents? That's the one that gets me. Right. And I also look back at all the information, hey.
wasn't there a storm that came upon them or some kind of,
I'm not sure on the storm.
or well, the whole thing of maybe the avalanche. Maybe they got maybe they
Well,
got avalanche.
there's two different
Yeah.
camps on that. There's one camp that says that yes, it was an avalanche, and then there's another camp that says that no, there was no evidence of an avalanche. Like there was no leftover debris. There was no
Right.
and the people that some people were found above the snow, and there were other people that were found down in the ravine. They were only found under like a small amount of snow. So it's like that. Like I said, the whole case is just strange.
Well, cutting oneself out of a tent as opposed to just using the fly on the tent, that makes a lot of sense to me for hypothermia, because sometimes the mind doesn't function properly.
Right.
And instead of going out the simplest egress by zipping the fly, they feel like they're trapped. They're like, oh, what do I do? They grab a knife and they cut a hole in the tent to get out, because that's the only way their mind is.
Like I said, again, with the hypothermia though, Steve, the only reason I question it is why did that, if they were in the tent they had their clothes.
Well, I'll give you a good example. Yesterday, they said the low temperature of last night was going to be around 22 degrees. It ended up turning out to be -4.
Yeah.
So sometimes a bad weather forecast, can say,
Yeah,
low,
so
that could
low
have
weather
been,
temp.
they didn't.
Although again, I just, like I said, it's when it comes to, they were in the tents, they had their clothes. Like if there were those low temperatures, they could have stayed together and huddled to keep warm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
and that's
it's
why
weird,
it just kind of it kind of like it's really kind of odd. I don't buy into, like I said, I don't buy into all the creepy weird shit.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a fucking Yeti
There is
or
something,
a Bigfoot or UFOs, but I think something strange did happen.
Oh, I agree. It's a mystery that needs to be figured out. Now, is it the Yeti? Is it the, like somebody, and then I found out, like, there was one show on the Dateloft Pass, another one of those wonderful, travel, not travel channel,
The
but
one that
Discovery
showed that
Channel.
picture.
Yeah, the picture of the phony. Yeah, that's like, oh, come on, nobody took that. That was, where'd that come from all of a sudden? And the phony investigators and all that. That cheapens it a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
But
and we did a show, Matt and I, because Steve didn't join us on that one, when they did that show, and Matt and I tore down that photo. Like listen, this is not what this is.
Right.
This
the
was
only place that photo ever showed up was on that show.
Yeah.
Wasn't like
exactly.
They're like, and we found photos on the camera from the expedition. It's like, no, the last photo that was taken on the guy's camera roll is like some fucking weird photo. I can't even tell what it is, really. It's like, I don't know if it's like an eyeball or if he was taking a picture of something that was circular, or it's just an odd photo. But what's weird is he took his camera out of the tent, but no clothes.
Yeah. Sounds like hypothermia.
It
does.
Weird. You're right, though. Hypothermia will make you do strange shit.
When I was in I went down to the New York State Fire Academy years ago to do an ice rescue class, and they cover a lot about hypothermia. And the one example they actually used was the plane back in the 80s that had crashed into the Potomac River, and they only rescued about a dozen people out of that. And they actually showed like the one woman coming up out of the water, and you hear the newscaster go, "Oh, and she's got this wide-eyed gaze looking around up in the sky, like, completely, you can just see the face, just total confusion." And you hear the guy on the news report going, "Well, it must be the fuel that's leaked from the flame, got into her eyes, and it's really agitating her eyes," which is the reason. No, the actual reason why is she was hypothermic. She had no clue where she was or what she was doing or anything.
Right.
And that, it was just, you see that facial expression, and then you understand. I mean, there was people taking their clothes off in the water because they felt they were too hot.
Yes.
It's just, who knows? Is it a combination of a bunch of things? Did something happen there that caused them to become hypothermic. Maybe they were afraid to go back to their tents and they stayed outside their tents for whatever reason.
Right.
Don't know. That's what needs to be really explored. And there was one that had some I guess skull trauma or something.
There was two of them had skull trauma, but it was nothing that was life threatening. They said two of them had broken ribs, and there was a few of them that had these internal injuries that they couldn't explain. Like
sounds like to me, yeah. It sounds like to me, and this is the only speculation I can come up with, is that perhaps one of them was ill prepared for the trip, became hypothermic, and started assaulting the other camp members. And then in turn, because of their injuries, they were unable to, like the skull fractures or the head injuries. They may not have been life threatening, but if you get knocked out in that type of environment, it can become life threatening very fast. So perhaps, they got a bop to the head, but they died of hypothermia because they were unconscious in the snow.
Yeah, another reason why I tend to discount the avalanche theory is because the people that were further up the mountain that were found above snow.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And the people that were found further down the mountain were found underneath the snow. And if it was an avalanche, they all would have been under the snow.
So my guess, and see, even to that, to me, says to me that perhaps one of the party members, either one, had a mental defect, or two, three possibilities. Either one, they were really a killer in disguise. They were actually, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, that could be too. Yeah, I did. You know what, Steve? I never even thought of that one. One was a fucking asshole.
Yeah, one was an asshole. Two, either somebody became hypothermic and became an asshole because they didn't prepare or whatever. They stayed out too long in the cold, whatever. Or three, that. It was somebody else that departed the area. Don't know that.
Maybe there was someone else in the area that fucked with them.
Exactly. Exactly. Which could explain, but that could explain, somebody that's attacking them could explain why there was tents cut on the sides.
Yeah.
That could explain why some were in the snow partially. Because
it could have been something coming in through the tent opening.
Right.
And they're like, fuck this. Go out through the fucking side.
Right. Or they could be, and the people that were partially buried, perhaps they were trying to cover themselves up to hide.
Yeah. What you said hypothermia can make you feel warm. Maybe they covered themselves up to get cooled down.
But those people that were found buried were found fully clothed. The people that were found above snow were found with their clothes off.
So that to me is indicative that it was an attack, a blitz attack.
Yeah. I think
so the people
weird.
Right. The people that were close to the camp had no clothes on because they were being attacked first and they were fleeing. The people that had clothes on that were further away from the camp and buried in snow fled to bury themselves in the snow trying to hide. And they've probably passed because of hypothermia.
Yeah.
And that
makes complete sense.
That seems to be the most
like a blitz attack by somebody.
Yeah.
Why?
But the only thing about that whole thing that doesn't make sense are those internal injuries, those really strange internal injuries.
If you get it, let's say this. Say you take there's people that can take a shot to the ribs or a shot to the gut. What if the guy had a bat? That would explain the head injuries. That would explain, or a good piece of wood or a club. That could very well explain, or a heavy walking stick.
Explain the lack of external injuries.
That could explain the head injuries that were present.
Maybe it was Bing Crosby and he used the old sack of fucking potatoes.
You never know.
Is there any evidence that anybody was in that area, though?
Oh, I thought you were going to say that Bing Crosby beat his family.
Well, is there any evidence that Bing Crosby beat his family?
Or was Bing Crosby in the area?
With potatoes.
It's a sack of oranges.
Well, I just want to make a quick note that vodka is made from the potato.
But yeah, no, that makes sense. Like a blitz attack idea, that kind of makes sense. I could definitely go down that, but still, you got to admit though, even that in and of itself is strange. Like the fact that there was a blitz attack, even if it was just one of them that went crazy, or something, that's kind of fucking weird. If somebody else fucking who happened to be out there at the same time, however, there were no other footprints, so that one I tend to discount.
Right.
But the idea that one of them was a fucking weirdo and then wound up dying also.
Or one of them got hypothermic and went into a delusion. Just started outright attacking people.
Yeah.
Paranoia. That's another side effect of hypothermia. Because your mind is freezing to death. So it's the synapses are starting to short circuit, and it can cause you to have a whole bunch of things, hallucinations, hearing things like almost like infrasound. But on the other hand, it causes other things to happen too.
That was another theory that I hadn't heard before either, is that the way that the wind was whipping around the mountains that night was causing infrasound, which made them kind of go crazy.
Or it could have made one of them go crazy.
Right. But and that once they were further down the mountain, that they started getting their senses back. But by then, it was fucking too late.
Yeah, but the ones further down the mountain, they were partially buried.
Yeah.
Correct. And that tells me that sounds like to me they were trying to hide from something.
Yeah, they were trying to hide from something.
Why would you if you're not hypothermic, now you're clothed, why are you getting this extreme sense of hypothermia?
It's possible. Maybe they got hypothermic. Maybe they passed out. Maybe they fell down. And
my guess is
the way the wind was going, maybe they got buried by the wind. Snow blowed over.
Yeah, I mean that too. But it sounds like to me that they may have been trying to hide themselves from whatever. I mean, I'm trying to look at it
again. We're just fucking throwing out fucking
but if
theories and conjecture too, just like everybody else.
Yeah,
you have 2 up high and 2 down low. That's the way it went, right?
Well, no, there was 9 people altogether. Okay. There was they found 5 people up above.
Okay,
and they were some of them had like some clothing on, but not all of their clothing.
I'm wondering if the ones that were found down below were trying to seek help, trying to go find help because of whatever was going on. I
don't know.
The majority of them were found up top.
I mean, it's possible they could have fled, and the winds got them, and the winds buried them, and they just. But who knows?
And they were found. They were found later because they didn't go out to look for them for I think it was 3 weeks. Was before they went out because one of the people that was in the party, there was originally supposed to be 10 people. One of them didn't go. They turned around early on in the trip and went back. And Dyatlov, the guy, the experienced guy there, he told him, he said, because he was going to let, he told them that when he came back, he would make a report to the people back at the station. And he told him, the guy that was going back, he said, let him know that I'm probably going to be a lot longer out here than I thought. So nobody went out for even longer to look for them because of that.
By that time, some of the evidence a lot of the evidence probably what actually happened would be gone.
And I mean, there was some stuff that happened to the outside of the bodies that was obviously from, animals getting a hold of the body, picking at the bodies or whatever. And then just normal, decomposition as you're dead sitting there. There was some, one woman was missing a tongue and part of her lip, eyeballs, soft flesh stuff, which is normal, but they try to make it out to be that's a weird thing. Yeah. It's no, that's pretty normal.
Well, animals are going to go for the soft tissue first.
Right.
And that's the way it is.
But yeah, I'd come across that one again recently. And I was just it's kind of interesting that they're looking back into it. And I think that's very cool that they're at least, I mean, because it's what, 50, 60 years later or so? The actual event, so they're at least trying to take a look at it again and see, what the fuck happened. And for whatever reasons, who gives a shit? Old Mother Russia.
I'm going to guess that the findings won't be shared freely with us anyway.
Yeah, no. You think Vladimir Putin's going to share that shit?
If Russia had some sort of culpability in this thing, we'll never know.
Well, you're going to see pictures of Vladimir Putin on his horse, shirtless,
love that
trotting around Dyatlov Pass, solving the mystery himself.
Absolutely. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? That's the way they portray everything. I wouldn't want to be a guy trying to run for fucking anything against Vladimir Putin.
No.
That's like a death sentence. Here, I want to run for president.
Let me just say, that
Well, look at
anybody who runs against Vladimir Putin didn't kill themselves.
Yeah, good luck.
No. Hey, speaking of that, did anybody see the video of the guy asking the woman in Walmart to page his friend,
Yeah.
Mr. Clinton Kildipstein?
No.
And she gets
Yeah,
on the
I
PA.
felt sorry
If there's
for
a
her.
Mr. Clinton killed Epstein, can you please come to the counter? Your party.
I felt so
waiting?
sorry. I felt so sorry for that lady though, because now she's going to be all over the fucking internet.
Oh yeah.
You know, and she was just doing her job. So I felt bad for her.
People. Some people's fucking kids. God
It
damn
is
it.
funny, but
It
I don't think she went home and saw herself on the internet that night and found it very funny. Just saying.
Huh?
I'm sure Walmart didn't find it funny either.
No.
I
no.
hope she's still got a job.
Oh,
Well,
dude.
She did it. She was doing her job. You know,
She's been demoted to door greeter.
Technically, they'll probably bitch her
heart
out
pusher.
to
Heart
some
pusher
degree.
now.
Yeah, they'll trash her and get her out. Is what they'll do.
Well, no,
Well, it
I don't
makes
think
Walmart-
it'd be that bad, but they'll definitely bitch her out for it.
Oh, I do.
I got bitched out for just paging loudly once at Walmart when I worked there when I was younger.
I saw an asset protection officer who was on her lunch break saw a woman get her purse snatched, and the woman said to her, you know, my medications are in that, and I have a heart problem, and I need my medication. So this person hops in her car, doesn't apprehend the guy, follows the guy, calls the police. The police find the guy and arrest him, get her medications back, and they turn around and fire her.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
What was the reason for that firing, though?
Because
she left
went-
property.
Yeah,
She left property.
she went beyond the scope of her job.
You know what? I'd gladly take that. As a
Yeah,
benefit.
I
You
would-
just see the problem is that you take that as a human being, but for her, that took away her livelihood,
You know,
and it shouldn't have.
exactly.
In that case, it shouldn't have.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I remember. Oh God, you talk about friggin' loss prevention and stuff. I remember the guys that in the beginning they used to like tackle people going out the doors and stuff. That stuff changed really fucking quick.
My brother did that. He worked at Steve might be familiar with the Giant Eagle chain of stores, but
But no.
anyway,
Well-
they're Pennsylvania, Ohio mainly. But my brother worked in there, and he actually did tackle a guy, but that's back in the 90s when it was more acceptable.
Yeah, they started cracking down on it big time, and you couldn't do anything really. You just had to follow them and report it.
I will tell you now, if you go into a Walmart, if you don't bag your items, they will stop you at the door and scan every single unbagged item you have in your cart. Every one of them. Because it's a loss.
Why are
prevention.
you trying to save money on your bags, Steve? Is that
No,
what it is?
We tend to take our own bags in, saves the planet and shit.
Oh,
We just find it easier.
I thought
to
because
carry
they're charging you.
No, Walmart doesn't charge bags. Not here. Anyway.
Well, we
Not
don't
yet,
live in
anyway.
fucking
get charged for
California.
everywhere. We get charged for bags.
New York State is starting that shit now, aren't they?
Starting sometime next year, I believe.
Well, some are already because I did some.
Well, they've banned plastic bags.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised
banned them,
Steve,
that's right.
Steve can still afford to smoke cigarettes in New York. For fuck's sake,
Yeah, what is a pack of cigarettes in New York nowadays?
what
Um,
$50?
For the most part, I go to the
Salamanca.
Native American reservation. No, not Salamanca. I go to what the hell? I go to the one outside of Syracuse.
Oh, so because you're on the other
Yeah.
side.
Yeah,
I'm on the other side. So it's about a 2.5 hour drive. I grab a stash and come
You
home.
can buy a carton of cigarettes at the Indian reservation.
A carton of cigarettes at the res goes from between $23 and $30.
Yeah, but there's
Yeah.
the cheaper reservation brands can be cheaper than that even sometimes.
Yeah, but they're
Easy.
pretty harsh. The cheaper
Oh,
ones.
they're harsh, but they're cheap.
The $30 ones are comparable to anything else. So
Yeah, I know. My cousin lives in upstate New York, and he smokes, and I'm like, dear God, man, how do you
He probably
fucking
goes-
afford it?
Yeah, he would probably go to Salamanca because where he's at. But the gas is cheap there too on those reservations. Holy
yep,
Lord,
yep.
because they don't tax them.
Oh,
Yeah. Anywho.
hey, I'd like to share something with you guys, and you know, see, I got my
Does it have to do with a Connect and a Bigfoot?
no,
Oh, damn.
no, actually, it's a little source of pride that I have that I got to. So there we go. It's just a little source of pride. This happened Friday. My son actually became.
Awesome.
Yeah, I saw this picture.
Yep, became a New York State forest ranger.
Man,
Nice.
that kid looks just like his daddy.
He
I saw that picture. I'm like, I didn't even read the description under it. I'm like, that's Steve Kulls' kid.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, they take a class picture, and you know, the first thing my girlfriend said, "My God, he looks just like you." Like, nah, he's my clone. Like that's what I look like.
How old is he?
He is 26, 27. He's gonna be 27 shortly. Yep.
So now you're going to have a man on the inside.
Gonna have a man on the inside.
Now you'll know all the government.
I'd be like, Dad, it's a conflict of interest.
Well, it was kind of funny because he called me Thursday night, and he just, "You're gonna be there, Dad?" "Yeah, I'm gonna be there. I know it's, I know we got a storm."
Be there for that.
I said I wouldn't miss it for the world. I go, so he goes, "Yeah, I got my station assignment. I'm gonna be over in Rensselaer County." So I turn around and go, "Okay, good. Now I know where I can fish without a license." And of course, he's like, "You son of a bitch."
It just, the Kulls family seems to me like the type of people. Now, if you're out there fishing without a license and your son comes by, he's issuing you some sort of warrant or ticket or whatever they do.
Nah, they preach, a lot of times, and even that, it was kind of funny because even the commandant who gave the big lecture said that, to just treat fairly and uniformly. Just because we stop somebody doesn't always mean a ticket has to be issued. Sometimes you'll know the difference between when a warning is sufficient versus a ticket. So, and that's true. I mean, I've been pulled over before by the state police, and like, what are you doing? Well, I'm working a case, and
I'm looking for Bigfoot.
No, legitimately, the only time I ever get stopped is when I'm en route to a private investigation case somewhere, because usually I'm trying to cover the span of the state within a decent hour. And I explained it to them, like, okay, just slow it down, have a good day. They'll end up BSing with me for a little bit, and they're good dudes. They some of the little communities do, but for the most part, so he's a good lad, and I'm very proud of that boy.
Awesome, man.
So, awesome. But thank you for letting me share that.
Oh yeah,
I don't have any proud pictures of my children to show. So,
well, I still have two more.
I've had my son on the show, so.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah. My son has made an appearance sometime walking through the room. I think.
Yes.
It's about as close.
Yes,
as
he has. Yeah, my son. I think didn't he call me a douche?
I actually never went
on the show.
I wasn't on that night, so
I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah, no, my son is my son's hilarious. He's the thing that I enjoy about my son is that he has this almost the exact type of sense of humor that I have.
Oh God!
So it's
poor kid.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I once overheard my son going, "Oh, the reason why I'm so loud is because of that guy down there," and he's pointing at me.
No, not you, Steve. You loud?
Believe it or not, I'm actually, people get surprised sometimes because I can be very laid back and quiet at times, a lot of times, because there's definitely a personality that comes out of me when I'm on the air and when I'm blogging and when I'm but when I'm at shows, I'm a totally different person. I'm kind of quiet and kind of reserved. I get up on the mic, then I'm fun and cantankerous.
Yeah, well people often don't realize that when we do this stuff with it isn't that I'm a different person when I'm in front of the microphone, but I do. This is it's a show.
Yeah,
I'm trying to entertain you. I'm trying to be fucking funny or whatever.
Speaking of entertaining and being funny, I gotta take a piss. I'll be
you do your thing. Fuck, do whatever.
Hope everything comes out okay.
And people often like they're like, oh well, you seem unapproachable or what. Really? And then they get to know me and they're like, oh, not so much.
Yeah.
But often with that stuff, it happens that way, that people think that because of how you are when you're on screen or on camera or in front of the microphone, that's how you are all the time, because like when I come in to do this, I kind of have to get prepared to do it.
Yeah. No.
And like I said, it's not that this is any different from who I am as a person, but it's more of, I'm trying to be an entertaining person for you while I'm doing this shit.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes it isn't entertaining. I'm well aware.
I mean, the comments you get from some of these people when you debunk something like, "Oh, you must be a miserable person." Like, no, actually, I'm quite a happy person in life. I've been through my bumps like everybody else.
Oh, my favorite one recently was a guy commented on the Tim Fasano tribute show that we did. And he was like, I butted heads with Tim out in the field, but, we kind of saw eye to eye eventually. And it's because of assholes like you that I don't do anything in the Bigfoot community anymore. And I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, for one, like, Tim Fasano, I'm like, I take issue with what you say, because for one, Tim Fasano's brother thanked us for this show.
Yep.
And two, like, fucking pay attention, asshole. Like,
it's funny. A couple of weeks ago, when I did my show, I did something I had never done before. I did a tribute, but not only to Tim, but all the people that have been guests on my show that we've lost. And my God, that number was so incredible. And people didn't realize, huh?
It grows all the time.
I mean, and I'm doing a thing, and when I finally hit that play button, not on the show, but when I was putting it together, tears just started coming down from my eyes. And people don't understand that, but it's like a couple of those guys I was really, really close to. Jon Weitzel, who was the guy who brought me to my research area in the first place. He died at 43 years old from brain cancer. And just 5 months prior, he was out in the field with me. And, known the guy for years, and his wife. And, 43 years old, tragedy. Shane McMahon. Steve, you remember Shane McMahon? I don't know if you remember him.
I remember the name, yeah.
Yeah, years ago. I mean, he passed in, I think, 2008. But for a couple of years, he was a staple on the show. I'm sitting there thinking, and now I'm thinking about it, and I'm kicking myself in the ass, but I forgot Steve Pickett in that tribute. Indy. He was actually a guest co-host for my show for several episodes. J.C. Johnson,
Yeah,
and JC, I didn't agree with everything he said, but he was a good man. He never said a bad thing normally about
anybody. I recall, JC Johnson was one of the few people that liked stuff on my like page.
Yeah.
I was just like, huh?
I mean, you want to talk about a goodwill ambassador, even though he had some out there theories. That's okay. But he had this booming, commanding voice for radio. He'd get on there and, he'd be, and that was his normal voice.
Right.
And, the last show he was on was about, 4 months before he passed. And he was like, hey, listen, he goes, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. You're going to get a go. I want you to introduce me as the cantankerous, lecherous, drunken adventure man. and he had that little kind of dry type of really sense of humor that always made us laugh. I mean, Phil Spencer, the Wild Man, and he produced and directed the film The Wild Man and the Natavadad from Kentucky. And a lot of people didn't know this, but Phil had gotten sick. He had a heart attack that eventually ended up passing from it several months afterwards. He was doing a shoot on a sizzle reel, and he couldn't do it because of his heart attack. He asked me to take his place. I didn't know the guy from Adam very much, other than having him on the show a couple of times. And so you get those kind of honors. You're like, wow, you feel so humbled. And then we ended up with Tim Fasano, talking in his taxi, which I thought was very appropriate. And although I know we see eye to eye with him and bumped heads with him, In the end, we weren't enemies. We were friends. And, you know, it's kind of funny. You know, people talk about Rick Dyer. Oh, you must really hate Rick Dyer and blah, blah, blah. I don't. I really don't hate Rick Dyer. When he does his thing, I come out swinging. He comes out swinging. Big deal. You know, if I ever had an arch nemesis, it was him. But if something had happened to him, I feel kind of bad. I kind of feel kind of sad. I don't really wish anybody ill will.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No. I mean, I don't know. As much as, you know, I dislike some of the people in this community, I don't wish people,
No.
you know, ill will. Like I mean, I hope Stacey Brown's movie flops, but I mean, other than that, you know, I don't wish him any ill will.
Is Stacey Brown in it?
The Les Stroud movie,
But Stacey Brown's
coming out.
Right?
Yes,
It'll flop.
It's
Whatever happened to the C. Wayne Wilson movie? Anybody see that?
No.
Apparently not.
No.
I did.
You know what I did hear though? Matt Knapp was telling me that Stacy's partner, the guy that was on Bigfoot Bounty with him, was it David?
Yeah, I think so.
That he actually is out. That he doesn't have much to do with Stacy anymore, and that he is doing some pretty solid research.
Good.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And then I'm probably try to watch it, but Russell Accord show premieres tonight too at 10:00 on I forget what channel. So
I have some commentary on that tonight on tonight's show too. We talk a little bit about that tonight too.
I'm not a big fan of Russell's, and he knows it. He knows that we're not big fans.
Well, no,
I'll still watch the damn show. You know.
I think my summation is we'll you know, and I tell everybody, let's give it a shot, see a few episodes, see what they come up with. There's a few things that make me go, But,
we don't know anybody on that show besides Russell. Kind of gives me a little pause.
No, actually, I do know there is one person I know on that show.
Oh, okay.
That has been a researcher for a while.
All right.
But that's the only one that's been a researcher for a while. And that's Ronnie LeBlanc.
I've not heard of Ronnie, but
I have, and well, I get around. But
we'll
hey,
see.
listen, I may be fucking easy, but I'm not cheap. Anyway, but no, I have heard of Ronnie LeBlanc for some time.
Well, that's good because I was under the impression.
And what that
Russell
means,
was the
Steve, is the
only-
speaking fees don't come easy.
Yeah.
Hey, I once shared a stage with Steve Kulls
That's
for
right.
a very brief moment, and I was nervous as fuck. And I'm sure that I spewed out a bunch of garbage, but
And then I come rolling in, you know.
yeah, it was a good time. I actually, because you and you bought me calamari, man. I'll never forget that day.
The Italian nachos.
Yeah, good.
Oh, they were good. They don't serve those anymore there.
Son of a bitch.
I know.
Son of a mother.
I still go to Chautauqua Lake every year. I missed one year because there was a conflict. And it's a fun time. It's a good time.
I'll have to get back sometime. I'm not doing the Bigfoot stuff much anymore, but it was fun. I had a good time hanging out with you.
And then there's the people that bitch about conferences, and that gets me under my that, as Peter Griffin would say, that grinds my gears. You know, the people who bitch about Bigfoot conferences, oh, well, you people do nothing about it. You know what? I go to Bigfoot conferences. You think I make money on those things?
I don't bitch about Bigfoot conferences. My issue is with paid Bigfoot outings.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean,
that's the one that I have seriously. If you want to go to conferences and get together with like-minded people and listen to people that you want to hear speak about Bigfoot, I am all for that. The paid Bigfoot outings, like, you can't guarantee me anything. Like, this isn't a whale watch. You're not going to give me a ticket if I don't see a Bigfoot to come back and see another one.
Right. Yep.
Because
if I was to ever do anything like that, it would be more of a Bigfoot camp. Let's provide some education.
Yeah, I
at least-
mean that,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that type of thing is fine.
yeah, let's
I
get some
wouldn't see a problem
education, and
with
then
that.
let's go
The-
try to find a Sasquatch and take
but
him out
the-
to an area. But
The paid Bigfoot outings, that's one that I'm kind of like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's the way people should be going.
Well,
But, if they want to give up their hard-earned money, fine.
Yeah, well, again, yeah, if people want to give up their hard-earned money to do something like that, again, you're right.
but
Steve,
why
it's
is it
their
okay to do
prerogative.
that and not okay to do that, but paid ghost hunts? To me, if it's a source of entertainment for people and they're
Yeah.
willing to pay for it, so be it.
Just
Yeah.
know what I mean, if I know that if I go on a paid Bigfoot expedition or a paid ghost hunt or a paid UFO watch, whatever, I'm getting what I paid for.
Yeah.
It's the
And
entertainment,
like
not
I've
the
done,
actual-
I've done the ghost hunt events, that are paid. We actually just did one, of all places, the Hinsdale House, which is the old dandy farm, and that place is weird as anything. And we never guarantee anything, but we always try to put some education. We always do like an hour beforehand, talking about equipment, talking about experiences, giving some people at least something to go home with. And of course, that house never disappoints. But even on slow nights, it doesn't disappoint very well. Everybody comes away with at least something of an experience. And paranormal to me is a little more predictable than a Sasquatch thing, because the paranormal is confined to usually a specific area, so it's easier to draw that stuff out.
I can tell you though, Steve, if you did a paid Bigfoot expedition,
Mhm.
I would pay to go. Because I know you, I trust you, that kind of thing.
Right. And
Some
the
of
thing
these
is,
people, I would never.
Yeah.
never.
and you know what? If I was to charge like $475 for this 2-night 3-night trip, you're damn straight that I'm going to be providing some food for people and some education for people and some.
And that would be the reason I would go. It's not the food,
yeah.
the education,
Yeah.
how does
Oh
Steve?
no, I
Kulls
want
do
you to do a Bigfoot outing that's like fucking Firefest, dude, where fucking everybody shows up, there's nothing, they got no water, no tent, they're all fucked, and then I get to see the documentary about it later.
Okay.
Steve Kulls fucked everybody.
Okay, I want everybody to drop their any kind of equipment over there. Here's your wooden spear. Go get dinner. I expect some pork or some buck later on.
My favorite part of that Firefest documentary is the guy. He's like, he asked the guy to go down. He's like, I don't care if you have to blow him to get the water.
Oh, that's horrible.
Oh, that fucking documentary.
No, I'm a firm believer that if somebody pays for something, they should get something in return.
Yeah.
That's why, people, they bitch, oh, you're doing is peddling books. Well, at least somebody's getting something for what they're paying for.
Yeah.
And my joy of it is not so much the money, but the honor that book is going to somebody. Somebody's willing to pay for that book and to get that and read that and try to get some information or some knowledge out of it, to have a great experience talking to people, meeting people, having fun with people, because there are people, and to me, it's a very humbling and weird thing that some people still consider me a celebrity of types because I've been on this show or that show or this show. And they're like, wow, I can't believe I'm talking. I'm like, why? I'm just a dude like everybody else here. I mean, I put my pants on like everybody else.
Yeah.
And to me, I get quite humbled sometimes. I'm like, wow, I don't know. I don't know how to take it sometimes. It's weird. I'm not fond of celebrity, but I am fond of talking to people and getting their ideas and hearing their stories and shaking their hands and getting a picture with them if they want it. And that's the fun thing. Make their day.
I have a similar issue with celebrity, and I do another show that's reselling related, and people watch because I'm on it. Some of them, and I'll be out at a store in the middle of God knows where buying shit, and somebody will come up, hey, I saw you on that show, and I'm like, dude, this is weird, but in a way, it's kind of nice too, that somebody recognizes you and appreciates what you do and what you're telling them to do, and how they. Yeah, it's weird, but it's awesome.
It's very humbling. It's very humbling. The funniest experience I ever had, I'll tell you two funny stories, and they both happened at the same type of store, the steward shop, where I was getting a coffee or something one day, and I remember the guy behind the counter as he's ringing me out. Hey, aren't you that Bigfoot guy? Who, me? And he recognized me, which was really kind of like, wow. And then the only other time was years ago before I even got on the shows. I mean, I used to have a goatee and, bald and younger looking at the time. And all of a sudden I feel a little tug at my shirt. And I look down and there's this little, maybe 4 or 5 year old child. And he's looking up at me with big eyes going, are you that wrestler I see on TV?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Yes, I most certainly am that wrestler you see on TV. Here, come take a picture with me.
That's right.
I was in where was it? North Carolina. I can't remember the name of the town now. Hickory, North Carolina. And I'm in a Goodwill. And a guy comes up to me and recognizes me from YouTube. I'm like, that's fucking crazy. Hickory, because I'm in Ohio, I'm from Ohio. Hickory, North Carolina. That was the first time it happened. And I'm like, that is fucking crazy.
Well, anywho, we'll wrap this fucking thing up tonight. Steve, thanks for coming on.
Oh, anytime.
You're welcome.
Educating me on this.
Anytime, man.
Fuck you, Steve. Wrong Steve. On this fucking bitch. I don't even know how else to describe her.
Well,
Pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Well, I wish her no ill will.
Yeah, no, I don't wish her ill will, but
I don't wish her any well. She's just not a nice person. She's a fake person to me.
Yeah, there's so much lying going on, deception, bullshit. It was one of those stories that it irked me.
Yeah,
to no end, and I thought it needed to be told.
And to not even have the humbleness to say, "Okay, listen, you got me."
Oh yeah, have a little fucking humility.
Turn around and say, "If I had an attorney, I would sue you." What?
Yeah. Good luck, bitch.
Yeah, good luck.
Anywho, so this has been the Fortean Slip, episode 112. People, if you like this shit, hit the little thumbs up button. If you don't, hit the little thumbs down button. Leave a comment, subscribe. Check out our good friend Matt Knapp at youtube.com/bigfootcrossroads and cryptid tales. Check us out on Anchor at anchor.fm/the Fortean Slip. Check out Richard Allen's blog on Facebook. That is Bigfootin' with Keith and Colin. Check out the latecomer to the show, Phil Poling at Parabreakdown, youtube.com/Parabreakdown. Don't bother, Phil. Don't try to tell me. Don't make your excuses. You should have been here when we started live. You should have been here. And as always, check out our good friend Dred Funn at dredfunn.com and youtube.com/Dred Funn. Check out the Squatch Detective at thesquatchdetective.com. That's that fucking big thing right there. Is that where they can go to listen to you tonight, Steve?
They can go to squatchdetective.com, squatchdtv.com, facebook.com/Steve.Kulls, youtube.com/Steve Kulls, or twitter.com/SquatchDET, Squatch Det.
You've done that before.
A few times.
So yes, go check out Steve. You can find out about the Connect and Bigfoot. We'll be back next week with a show about I forgot. Katie, what did I tell you for next week? Is the Marconi murders?
Yes, it is.
The Marconi murders. I had to think for a minute.
Macaroni.
Also known as the Star Wars murders. There was a group of scientists that were killed over a short period of time from unusual circumstances, and all of them had something to do with the Star Wars program.
Not the Telegraph?
Not the Telegraph. Not the Telegraph. So we will be back next week with that. Until then, see ya!